Hello and welcome to another episode of TribeCast with your host Harry. Today we've got an interview with Ville Levaniemi, the co-founder of Happy or Not. He's going to walk us through the Happy or Not story and give some tips on how to succeed as an entrepreneur. I hope you guys enjoy. Ville, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
But can you first just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Ville Levaniemi, 41 years old guy. I live in Tampere with my wife and dog. I'm co-founder of Happy or Not. Happy or Not is a company providing service and solution for ongoing customer and employee satisfaction measuring. We collect the feedback, we turn the feedback into analytics and insights, and the companies are using the feedback to improve their business and their act in general. Nowadays, I'm responsible for strategic partnerships in Happy or Not. Like mentioned, I live here in Tampere. I work in our headquarters nowadays. I've also lived in Florida, US, to set up our USA office about 5 years ago. Also, I've been living in Amsterdam to help setting up our office there. So I've been around already with Happy or Not quite a lot.
Great. So as you said, Happy or Not was founded way back in 2009 and since has become highly successful all over the world, really. And if we can take it right back to the start, when you were first starting out with a project, did you ever think that it could become what it has done today?
Yeah, we actually did. You know, my co-founder Heikki Väänänen, we have been working with him since about 2002, 2003. So Happy or Not is kind of third or fourth company we are working in together, depending on how you count it. So we have been working long time. We are kind of commercial-minded entrepreneurs. We are maybe quite a sales guys in heart, and Heikki came up with this idea long time ago when he was 15 years old, but he kind of revisited the idea when we were having our mobile gaming studio in Tampere, and it was a good business. We were growing a lot, and Heikki came kind of back to think about how could I provide a means to our employees to safely provide feedback, and he was thinking that this would work in the business environment. So we tested the idea a lot before we started to do it. We checked the technical feasibility and everything, and so on. So kind of we were thinking that if this works, if we can make it work, it potentially can be really big. So actually we had a vision and the targets, and we were talking about ultimate success, like someday Walmart should be using this in all of their stores, and someday President Barack Obama should be checking Happy or Not index to find out how the USA workforce is doing and how the USA consumers are doing, and so on. So yeah, we wanted to see where it takes us, but of course, I'm not sure how realistic it was. So step by step, we found out that, okay, this seems to be working. Technology seems to be viable. Customers seem to find out new values about what to do with it. And then it started to kind of go step by step. So, but yeah, anyway, we had an idea that it potentially, if we don't screw it up and if everything goes well, it could potentially become big or at least meaningful for largest companies in the world and largest organizations. And that's where we are now. So, yeah.
But you said you had this very clear idea of kind of what the product is and how it's going to work. And many entrepreneurs have this idea, this real spark of inspiration. It's the taking the idea and turning it into a viable business that a lot of them struggle with. How did you start about having this clear vision of what you've got to taking it into more of a viable business?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the word business here. So basically, when we were talking about business, it means that there is normally money involved and that there is normally target to make a profitable business out of it. So basically, besides the idea or invention or innovation or theme or whatever you have, if you want to realistically build a successful business, you must be also interested and even better excited about building a successful business, not just a business. If you are not excited about building a successful business and you still have a good idea and you would like to pursue it, you just need to seek for a good partner and partners who are excited about building a business. So of course, one person cannot do it all alone. So it's just kind of really important that if you're not interested about doing business and want to do business, you need to learn to be a good business person, or then you need to kind of admit that, okay, the business part is not for me, so I need to find one guy or a couple of persons to help me out already, preferably in the beginning. I think in the end, when you talk about business, perhaps the most important skill you need to have in your house or in your core team is when you want to grow, healthy growth and so on, you need to have the numbers in control, and you need to be having someone who is handling the spreadsheets for you. That's really important, and it can be boring. If it feels boring for you, you should find out someone who doesn't find it necessary evil thing to do, because that can be exciting for some people as well.
So, as you said, one of your roles with Happy or Not was to be situated in places like Amsterdam, like Florida, as you've said, and kind of really look at the kind of internationalization and building this company in these different international markets. Once you've created your successful business in Finland, what are the first things that you should consider when you're looking to enter one of these international markets?
Yeah, I think it starts by assuring that you can provide a value for money to your customers. So I think it's the question about in which market can this concept provide value for money for the customers, and how I need to adjust the concept. That's where it starts from, understanding the market, that, okay, there potentially is business in that market for me. Of course, then you need to think about how am I providing or distributing this service or this product. You need to be sure that you're complying with the local laws and regulations. There's a huge amount of things to be done. You need to make sure that you're not breaching the patents or trademarks of other guys who probably came up with the same idea already. So it's really huge leap from going from domestic business to international business, even when you go to the neighboring country like Sweden or whatever. So you just need to think, how are you going to handle that? The way we handled that was that right from the beginning we started to seek for good potential reseller partners in the different markets. So we wanted them to be nice people to work with. We wanted them to be hungry the way we were, and we wanted them to be somewhat experts of their own industry that they're operating in. And of course, the part of their job was make sure that we are complying with the local requirements and things like that.
So you'd say it's all about getting all of your research done, meeting the right people who are also as excited as you are to kind of carry that project forward.
Definitely. And of course, in Finnish government helps with that a lot. It helped already back then. So there's a huge network of people who are aware of what it takes to do certain kind of businesses and so on. So at that point, it's really good to go to your local ely-keskus and have a chat with the people that who should you talk with when you want to do something. And of course, network, use LinkedIn, ask questions to people who have done it already. I'm happy to help as well.
What would you say are some of the highlights of your career so far?
Yeah, there's large amount of them, of course, this is kind of our favorite child, this business, because we started from the scratch. But maybe if I list a couple of highlights, of course, really important first thing that needed to happen in order us to continue doing this is our first real customer in the retail industry. And actually, our first real customer was Valintatalo, which is nowadays, the company was sold to Kesko. So basically all Valintatalo stores are nowadays K-Market stores. So anyway, we had our first real customer in Epilä, Tampere, in Winterin Mutka, Valintatalo, and we were of course really kind of excited what is going to happen. Is anyone going to press the button to give feedback? Is the staff going to hate it, or are they going to trust it immediately and stuff like that? So when we got the first results, actually we were quite pleasantly surprised. It was 3 or 4 times more feedback than we and the chain management of that company expected. So that was definitely a highlight. People are pressing button because we weren't sure before that. Even better highlight a couple of weeks after that was that we started to receive feedback from the staff of that particular store. The assistant manager told us that, hey, don't take this away from us, because we were asking about the freshness of the produce section of the store. The assistant manager told us that, hey, the people in the stores have started to stock the fresh fruits and vegetables during the evening hours as well, because they can see from the results that people are happy when they are providing a product to be sold. And when they're providing the product to be sold and the product is in good condition, they actually were able to connect the dots that, hey, the product group sales are improving during the night hours and so on. So that's when we started to learn that, hey, okay, it's actually not about just pressing the button. It's about how they are utilizing the data that we provide for them and how they are delivering it, distributing it in the organization, and how they help the people learn to be better and more motivated in their job. So that's definitely the most important feedback in the beginning. Of course, after that, we received a call from Heathrow Airport, the phone call, and the guy called Kevin Rendell asked me that, hey, do you have really this on the shelf? And I told him that, yes, we do. We do have it. And is it really wireless? Is it really, carefree? Is it really everything? And so he told us, okay, send us 11. And after a couple of days, he told us, okay, guys, we need plenty of this, a huge amount of this more. And this was before the Summer Olympics of London in 2012. And they were official airports, right? So they wanted to kind of do it from the marketing viewpoint as well, but they found out that actually the behavioral change in the security guys was so huge in a couple of days that they just cannot afford to roll it out in the airport. So that was our international breakthrough, definitely. Of course, personally, the US office founding wasn't really easy. We were, operating with the bootstrapping budget still with the cash flow. We didn't have investors, and so basically I tried to do everything as cheaply as possible. And it's not necessarily always a great idea when you are putting together a business in the US and so on. But we survived from that as well. So that's, of course, something I'm really proud of. First US customers and so on. So I could name dozens of the highlights, but maybe those 3 are mentionable. Yeah.
Great. And on the flip side, what would you say are some of the challenges that you've had to face in business, and how did you manage to overcome them?
Yeah, I think the learnings that if I would be doing this again, if we start from the USA office setup, I would definitely use the people who have done that before, because there's so much struggle you can get into when you actually don't know. Even if you know what you're doing, you just are not you're not qualified to do it officially. So you can lose a lot of time, and you can create a lot of stress on yourself. So definitely one learning from founding a USA entity was that be sure to use enough people to help you. That equals use enough money to be sure that you're not under constant stress with the old paperwork and the stuff that you're not best person to handle. Of course, the recruiting is really challenging always. So there are hits and misses always. I think we still don't have the, secret sauce on how to have a 100% hit rate. But, the recruiting gets more difficult more the company grows. So when you are hiring your first 20 or 30 people, those people are almost like entrepreneurs, so they are really rocking it. And when you grow more and more and more, it's, eventually you are hiring like everyone else is hiring. And I think we have become quite good in it. I think it goes to the same category, but it's a good idea at some point to start using outsourced services to do stuff. If you're an entrepreneur, you tend to be really kind of, jealous of everything you do, and you think that you're the only one who can do it well, but it's really important to let that thinking go. The earlier, the better.
So you yourself have a wealth of knowledge and experience in business across all these different roles and different sectors. Many of our listeners are really starting out their journeys in business and are part of early stage startups and smaller companies. What tips would you give for anyone who's wanting to push their companies and also both themselves to the next level?
Yeah, I always talk about the value of your service to your customer. What is the customer value? You can not spend too much time in thinking about that and documenting it and stress testing that value with your target group, with your peers, with your whoever. I think when you can assure that what you are selling actually is worth buying for your focused customer, then you're actually in quite good position. And then keep on doing it, never stop doing it, because the world is changing. Like pandemic came and we have needed to think about lots of things kind of again and rethink and restructure the ways how we are thinking and speed up some processes that we were thinking that we would be doing only in a couple of years and stuff like that. So it's important to try to think outside the box as well. But also the most important thing is talk with your customer, make sure that you're providing more, as much value or enough value, and then ask, how could I provide more value for you? What would make this product more sticky in your business and so on. So it doesn't need to be so, so difficult or rocket science, or you don't need to use any jargon or read 1 million books to become a good service provider or SaaS service provider. You need to read your customers' minds and maybe better just ask customers, what do you think about it? How could this be better? It's quite easy thing to do, but for some reason many businesses are doing that. So that's the secret.
So you previously talked about the importance of having the right people around you for the job. And how important do you think that it is to build a network as an entrepreneur? And how important are business communities such as Platform 6 in helping unite and put together entrepreneurs?
I think it's really important from multiple viewpoints. We were doing things in our own office when we started in 2009 and first in our homes, but when we got our office, so we weren't part of too many communities, but we were lucky enough to have a really good network already because we had been in multiple businesses before. So it would have been really hard to start without that network, because it's just, there are so many things that you can do better than you thought. So extremely important. In Amsterdam, we were having our office in this company called WeWork. I'm sure you're aware of the company. They provide facilities, but also they provide this whole service around it. So you as a company, you can go there and you can rent the space, and you have, something like 50 other companies around you, and they are even throwing parties and stuff like that. So from the social viewpoint, that's really important as well. But I'm a bit older guy, so that I think the most valuable thing in that for me was that, or would be for any entrepreneur, that because they are kind of facilitating this kind of conversation almost forcefully. They make you meet with the other people. So if you can kind of utilize that, you have a really nice platform to test your ideas. You don't need to tell your most important business secrets, but you can test about, like things I mentioned before, the customer value. Okay, if you were retailer, would you use this, and why would you use it? Why wouldn't you use this? What should be the price of that, and so on. So networking is really, really important in many forms, of course. Recruiting, you can find people you want to hire in your team. You never know what happens when you talk with the people, and use that time to try to have a meaningful discussion every now and then. Always, of course, you need to throw jokes and maybe have a couple of beers with those guys as well, but remember to keep the focus as well. That's what you want to achieve.
Speaking of focus, one of maybe the hardest aspects of being an entrepreneur is this relentless problem solving, the fact that you're always dealing with issues and you're always fighting to try and move on and progress. But how do you keep yourself motivated, and what tips would you give any entrepreneurs to help them keep this focus and this motivation up?
Yeah, in the beginning, it helped us a lot to stay motivated and to fight together with Heikki, because there were so many people who were kind of doubting what we do. They let's say that 50% of the people we presented this idea told that it's not going to work out. It's too simple. It's too hard. It's hardware. You are not going to get anyone buy it. It's too expensive. It will be, that kind of helped us to show them that, okay, we're going to show, because there's 50% of the people who are telling us that, okay, just make it happen. And if you deliver what you promise, it is really going to help us in improving our business, our engagement, even our sales and stuff like that. So it was really clear for us that there is enough audience for this. So all we need to do is just make it better and better and better. But we got as much, power and perkele from that, because there were so many companies who told us that no, it's not going to work, and we were laughed out of many meeting rooms before this being so childish and stuff like that. So I think it was really good fuel, because there were so many people who didn't think this was a good idea. Of course, the motivation, then when you work hard, you need to get the reward. So all the customer wins, all the PR wins, all the new hires that we got in the beginning. So it's kind of, those are really important milestones. You should be celebrating all those milestones and be happy, and remember to celebrate those. Nowadays, after 11 years, what helps me keep myself motivated, of course, is all these challenges around us and around our customers as well. So, the pandemic came, so many of the people stopped moving around, and lots of our clients are in the business where you need to have people visiting your business and so on. So, of course, what sort of challenges that represents us? Our clients need to make more of those limited amount of people who visit their stores, which means that they need to be even better. They need to have even more motivated staff. They need to be, more efficient. So it's kind of the value from this service and this kind of service. It never ends. You just need to think about how that works in the current environment and so on. So of course there are so many challenges, and of course it's always I like to see people grow in their position and become really good in what they do and so on. So that's kind of nice to observe that from the background. Nowadays I don't have direct team members anymore and stuff like that, but it's always nice to mentor new people and help them, try to help them as I can.
So we've just come out of 2020. It's been a difficult year for all, really. Everyone's lives have been affected in some way. But moving forward, we're finally on to 2021. Do you guys have any plans moving into the new year?
I think we do not have any special plans for this particular year. Our roadmap is in motion continuously, and we have adjusted that. So we will keep on providing the service and concept for consumers, for patients, for employees of the organizations, to keep on giving information about their experience with that business. It needs to be easier, it needs to be faster, it needs to be more fun. So we are always improving that part of the business. What we are improving even more is that we are making the data that we collect more valuable to our client organizations. It has always been the idea of Happy or Not that everyone in the client organization should be interested about Happy or Not data, not only the management, not only the local management, not only the store manager, everyone. That includes also the suppliers of the products and so on. So it's kind of it's so huge operation that our clients are running ongoingly that it really pushes us to be better continuously, and it never changed. It's definitely we want to be best in the world in what we do. So that's quite a challenge.
Lastly, would you say is there anything that our listeners should really check out or look up, or is there anything that you'd recommend for them to take a look at?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would like to share in this interview, because we have been talking about the history of Happy or Not, and from the entrepreneurial viewpoint, is that there is a really nice story that was published by New Yorker magazine. You can find that story by Googling New Yorker Happy or Not. So it's quite inspiring. It's a long story. It's really well written, like New Yorker is. So I think that's a really nicely lays down what we have done in the past 10 years. So check it out. That's the story of Happy or Not.
Yeah, great. We'll drop that in the link for the description so any of the listeners can go out and read that.
Awesome.
But thanks, Ville. It's been really great to hear your story and get some advice from you, obviously, and really pick your brains and learn a bit more about how you guys function, and just a few tips really to kind of help out a lot of our listeners. But it's been really great to speak to you. So thanks a lot for taking your time out.
Sure. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Hey, fantastic. Thanks, Ville. Again, I'd like to thank Ville for taking some time out to come and speak to us today. The link to the New Yorker Happy or Not article is in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks for listening.